Good afternoon, class. Today we're going to have a look at Transformers Titanium Series Optimus Prime. And yeah, this is an Optimus Prime. I know it doesn't really look like your standard Optimus Prime, but this would be a Cybertronian mode Optimus Prime, not from War for Cybertron, I'm sorry. It's from the comic series War Within, which was kind of an origin story for Optimus Prime. Before he was Optimus Prime. He wasn't Orion Pax in this particular story from Dreamwave. He was, I think his name was Optronics, and he was a data clerk of some kind who was worthy of the Matrix, became the next Prime, and fought with Megatron, and I don't really remember what happened after that. I think I bought the first series, and I just don't remember. It wasn't really that great. But at any rate, we can look at this Optimus Prime. It is kind of what we expect, the standard Optimus Prime colors. There's a lot of blue here. Guess what? That's going to become his legs. And the red here, that, guess what? That's going to become his torso, upper body. In terms of the truck, it doesn't really roll all that well. A lot of the titaniums don't. And as we've seen before with titaniums, a lot of metal here in the front of the truck and the back here, with some plastic as well. But this thing does have heft. Whoa, that wasn't too good. But it does have heft. I weighed this thing and it weighs almost 12 ounces. So 3/4 of a pound. It's about the size, a little bit smaller than your average deluxe size figure. So when you take that into account, it is pretty heavy for its size. And again, that's because of all the die-cast metal parts. So like all Transformers, we can turn this thing into a robot. One thing I should point out as I start here is that while it does have metal parts, die-cast construction, it is actually somewhat delicate. In an outtake that will never see the light of day, when I was transforming this thing, instead of extending the legs, which I'm about to do now, I actually just pulled the legs right out of his hip joints. Imagine that would have been painful. But it kind of reminded me of how delicate these figures actually are. They're very easy to just pop the joints right out. So we're actually almost halfway there. For some reason I always start with the lower half. That's okay. Adjust my camera a little bit. We're going to fold this top part, there we go, down, turn that, rotate that way. We're going to pull this thing up. There we go, that looks like an Optimus Prime. We're going to fold these shoulder bits sideways. Come on, there we go. Pop them in place. There we go. Can slide the hand down, and we'll do something similar on the opposite side. Come on. There we go. Nope. Aha. Okay, so here we have Optimus Prime. Kind of standard looking, more or less, Optimus Prime colors. His chest, upper body, the shoulder plates are red. His hands are blue now. We've got gray on the forearms, which is a little bit different. Gray for the middle, or lower part of the torso and his part of his legs, that's standard. And the kind of blue boots, for lack of a better term, lack of a better word, the blue at the bottom of his legs. And his face, let's see if we can try to focus here a little bit on his face. Can we? There we go. It's kind of your Optimus Prime head. The antenna spars that we usually see that go up are a little bit more back, a little more, maybe we could say more streamlined. Whoa. Look at that, I've got blue paint flecks on my finger now. Jeez, that's what happens with these titanium figures. That's a good look at him, I think. Now, in terms of articulation for this figure, it's not too bad. We can move his head, we can turn that all the way around. His shoulders are going to rotate all the way around, and we can twist out, like if we try to move the arm out, something I should point out, these pieces here are supposed to snap into place. You can hear them a little bit, but they don't stay very well. There's no way to move the arm up. It does rotate at the upper arm, and the elbow does bend, and there's really nothing in the wrist. The torso, we can kind of turn it, but it's not really supposed to. It's part of the transformation, but it's not really good to try to use it to pose the figure. It's I don't know, I don't know, it's just not really good for that. The leg is on that kind of ball joint. Not a lot of motion going out. It's partly due to the fact that he's got this plate here. So we can move the leg up a little bit, back a little bit, and out sideways a little bit. We can rotate at the thigh. I want to say all the way around. Just there we go. And we can bend the knee a little bit here, and the foot does have a couple points of articulation. Ow. Now, there we go. One thing I should point out too, his hands, I always have problems with them either sliding back in or not staying out. You hear them kind of snap out there, but they don't really stay in place too well. Now, I don't know if that's just with my figure or if it's a universal issue, I guess we could say, with this mold. But that does happen. He does come with his laser rifle. Looks pretty close to what we would expect from his laser rifle. I think it's pretty close to the Gen 1. We can kind of reef this into his hand here. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do. There we go. Come on. You can do it. No, you want to. Maybe. There we go. Haha. Got it. So there we go. We've got a gun now to shoot things in the face, which is excellent. So I think actually that's a pretty good look at Optimus Prime here. The figure is very loose in a lot of ways, and it was like this right out of the package. It's not from wear and tear, excessive amounts of transformation. It's just due to the fact that it has die-cast metal parts. The chest here, that's metal. The lower torso, these shoulder plates are. I don't think anything else in the arms are. Maybe the, no, I was gonna say maybe the smokestacks, but I don't think they are. And then the bottoms of his legs. And, well, again, that's kind of the whole gimmick for the whole line, that they have the die-cast metal parts, which goes back to the original Generation 1 days, back when we all walked 12 miles uphill to school both ways through 18 feet of snow, etc., etc. But I find that while it's kind of a neat gimmick, and the one thing that's nice is that the figure is so heavy that it does stand up very well. And that's just due to its weight, really, if nothing else. It makes a lot of the joints wobble. You can see the legs there. The extra weight of these shoulder pads on his arms make them just flop right off very easily. They don't stay on too well, and even the chest doesn't sit in place incredibly well. This is not the kind of figure that we would call hand candy, you know. It's not the kind of thing you're going to sit down and play with as you watch TV or something. It's just not meant for that. This is the kind of figure you're going to put in a quasi-dynamic pose and stand him up. And speaking of standing up, which, as you can see, this figure does nicely, it does come with a figure stand, and in case you forget, it does say it's Optimus Prime. This plate comes off, maybe just in case you're inclined to break it or you want to mix and match, which seems kind of silly. But we do have this figure stand, and lo and behold, we can stand Optimus Prime on it. Figure stand's totally unnecessary, but again, this figure is meant to just stand and look pretty and gather dust. It's not really meant to be played with. It does look kind of cool. In terms of finding this now on eBay at toy shows, again, I know I say this a lot, I have no idea. I bought this at retail when it first came out. If I was going to give this figure a grade, I would give it a B. And I do like Optimus Prime, so I'm always kind of biased towards Optimus Prime figures. The reason I don't grade it higher is because just the lack of posability and the fact that the joints are so loose in a lot of ways. And again, it's just because of the die cast. It hasn't been played with excessively. It just has a lot of the die-cast parts, which naturally means the joints aren't going to be that great. However, would I recommend getting this figure? Yes, absolutely. And the reason for that is, besides the smaller titanium figures that there are, that were just the little things with, you know, the arms would move or something, I think, I could be wrong, with one exception, this is pretty much the only Optimus Prime from War Within. And that, to me, makes it, you know, worth getting just because it's kind of a unique-looking Optimus Prime, going back to his earlier days, I suppose. Now, that might change when War for Cybertron figures are a little more widely available in Canada, because they're not yet. But, so that is Titanium Optimus Prime. I'd recommend picking him up if you see him at a toy show or something. But I think that is our lesson. Have a good night. Class dismissed.